and welcome with Cooking with Robyn today. We're making a laced key lime cookie coin. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to put all of our majority of our ingredients in the food processor. Now if you don't have a food processor, you can get a bowl and you can get a pastry cutter, and what you can do is, like you're making biscuits, you want to work in the butter into the flour mixture, and then you can use a regular mixer, hand mixer or KitchenAid or something to put it together. But you want to break up that the butter and the flour like a meal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of flour. We're going to put that right in there. We're going to take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And one thing that you want to try to keep in practice with your baking powder and your baking soda is right on the top what date that you've opened it and what date it's good to. Usually it's 6 months. And after you're finished with your baking soda after 6 months, then you can put that in your fridge for a little while and it will do a double duty with that. Okay, we're going to put 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. The recipe says confection sugar, same thing. There we go. Okay, we want to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of lime juice. But the first thing we want to do is we want to always zest the lime before you juice it. It's a lot easier. So, and because these cookies are really small, you don't want to take, I have a microplane here for the zester, or a zester, but you don't want to take it and turn it to get long zests. We want little ones since it's a small cookie. So we'll just kind of do it over here. I've got some plastic wrap down there, so if it doesn't all hit in the tablespoon, we can just go ahead and pick that up. One thing you want to try to avoid is getting any of the white from the citrus, because usually that's kind of bitter and we don't want that. We don't want any of that bitterness in our cookie. So let's see how much more I need to go. Just a little bit more. Now I did wash these, rinsed off the limes and dried them before I zested them. Okay, now we don't want to pack this down. We just want a nice level amount of zest in here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then we're going to take our lime. And we want two tablespoons. So I have a little strainer, a little sieve, a lot of little names for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze the juice over it, so that way any seeds or pulp is not going to get in the cookie, because we don't want that. Sometimes your limes are really dry and sometimes they're really wet. This one here seems to be a dry one. All right. Looky there, we've got exactly 2 tablespoons of juice here. And then what we want to do is we want to put a teaspoon of vanilla in here. Now I did shake up, this is homemade rum vanilla, and I did shake this up because I would like to have a little of the speckles from the vanilla into the cookie. Forgot we want to put a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. We don't want to pack it into our mixture there. All right, we want to cube our butter. We need 3/4 of a cup. I have a half a cup right there, and this is 1/4 of a cup. And an easy way to cube it is just go down the middle, turn it, go down the middle. And you also want to be this, we don't want this at room temperature, we want it cold, because we want to cut it into the flour. And we're just going to make some cubes. There we are. Okay, and then we want to just go ahead and dump that in here. And then we're going to put the lid on and we're going to pulse it. Okay, so what we would like to do is we want to just pulse it a little bit so the flour gets around all the butter cubes. And then we're going to go ahead and pulse just a little bit longer until that's all incorporated into the flour mixture. Let's see up there. So we've got like just a fine mill. You can't even tell we have any butter in here at all. And your pastry blender will do the same thing if you don't have a food processor. Okay, so then our next step we want to do is we're going to drizzle in our lime juice and our vanilla. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn that on, and then we're going to pulse it as we add the liquid. You want to do it slowly. See how that's coming together real nicely? That's coming together real nicely. There we go. Perfect. This is just what we're looking for. A nice crumb. See how that's come together real nice? All right, so let's bring this around and we'll go ahead and put it on the surface, and we want to knead this for a few minutes, or a few times, not a few minutes. So we're going to divide this in two. Doesn't really matter if you get a little bit more on one than the other. And these are called cookie coins. So we want to roll this probably about the diameter of a, we need to fold that in a little bit more, of a quarter. Is what I make mine out to be. There we go. We just kind of want to roll this. Now you can make them a little smaller. You can make them the size of a nickel. You can make them the size of a $50. You know, whichever you would like to do. So then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it in plastic wrap. And then let's do the other one. That didn't look like enough liquid to moisten 2 cups of flour and 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, did it? Yeah. Ooh, I can smell the lime in here. Can't smell the ginger, but I can smell the lime. All right, after we roll these up, we're gonna put these in the refrigerator for approximately 2 hours to up to 3 days. Now, you noticed there's no eggs in this cookie recipe, but if there was eggs in it, eggs can be, you can crack an egg and they're good up to 10 days before you would have to use them. All right, let's put these in the refrigerator. All right, it's been 2 hours. Let's check our cookie dough. All right, nice and hard. Boy, I can really smell that lime. There we go. Now, we have an ungreased cookie sheet, and I've already preheated my oven to 325. I'm just going to kind of cut the end off. And then about a 1/4 inch. Now, it says to bake them 14 to 18 minutes, and you're probably going to bake them more towards the 18-minute mark. Now, if your diameter of your cookie is just a little bit bigger than this, the difference in baking isn't going to make the difference. It's only if it's thicker than the cookie. Then a 1/4 inch, then you might have to bake it just a little bit longer. Now this dough does freeze really well. I have frozen it and put it in the fridge the day before. Actually, when I make mine, I divide them into 4 groups instead of 2 groups. And then that way, when you thaw it out, you don't have to cook the whole thing. And you do get, see, I'm not even halfway through one of the logs, and there's still a lot of cookies right here. And these are just the nice size. Pop them right in your mouth. Okay, there's our cookie sheet is filled up. So we're going to go ahead and put this in a 325 oven for about 14 to 18 minutes. Check them at 14 minutes. You want just to see they're just starting to be a little bit of golden brown is what we're looking for. All right, it's been 18 minutes. I checked it at 14 and it still needs a little bit more time. Oh, here we are. Look at that. Now, what's nice about these cookies is, let's look at this one and let's look at this one. Can you see this one's a little oblong and this one's round? They're homemade. You know, you don't want them to be perfect. You want them to have a little shape and a little character to them. Okay, so then what we're going to do is, I've already transferred them on a cooler cookie sheet, and we're going to lace these now. So what we're going to do is we have a plastic decorating bag, and we're going to take some chocolate. Now I use candy bark. Now if you use chocolate chips, you can, but the chocolate won't ever get hard with a chocolate chip once you melt it. But if you use a chocolate bark, it will. It'll harden again. So I'm just kind of shaving this down a little bit. And then I'm going to put it in the bag, and I'm going to microwave it right inside the bag. Okay. All right. We're not going to cut the end yet because we don't want it oozing out in the microwave once it starts melting. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the microwave, and we're going to put it on just for a few seconds, and then we're going to take it out and we're going to mush it around like this. All right, we did 15 seconds, and as you can see, it still looks like we didn't microwave it at all. We're going to stick it back in there. We don't want too much down at the point. We want it more in the center. All right, yep, it's starting to melt a little bit. It's starting to get soft. We're going to put it in there for another 15 seconds. All right, as you can see how it's starting to melt? And we want to push any small pieces, we want to kind of push it together. Because once it starts melting, what's melted helps melt what isn't melted yet. That makes sense. Yeah, just a little more. It's by no means is it hot. It doesn't even feel warm. And that's what we're looking for. There we go. We only did it for about 10 seconds that last time because once it gets melted, it goes really fast. And you don't want to overheat it because if you overheat it, that will seize it. And then it's not going to ever melt again. So, all right, so we kind of mush that around, and I want to pull it up away from the tip. And then we're going to come on over here to our cookies. What we want to do next is we want to just cut a little bit off of this edge, or this tip here. You can always cut more, but you can't take any away. I think I want just a hair more. Okay, now we want to be careful. It's not going to take much pressure. And then we just kind of want to drizzle the chocolate over these coins. Turn it just a little bit. All right, and as you can see, that looks like that was just enough chocolate for this batch of cookies. But what we're going to do with this bag is we're going to pinch this so it goes down into the middle. And if you had more in here than this, we fold it over, we put it in a Ziploc bag, and you can reuse this again. All right, I am going to put this into the freezer for about 5 minutes to set up this chocolate. Okay, our cookies have been in the freezer for about 5 minutes, and the chocolate is all set up now. Look how cute these are. Look at that. This will impress any dinner guest. Really easy to make. Do the dough up a couple of days before, so you don't have to really concentrate on that. You can do these the day before. You just store them in an airtight container, probably a good week or two, but I don't think they'll last that long. I've got to taste one of these, but I want the one that looks like an egg, because, you know, probably tastes better than the perfect circle. That lime in there, just a nice punch. And the ginger is just kind of in the background. And if you didn't know it was there, you don't want to tell your friends you put ginger in here because they're going to say, what is that? What did she put in those cookies? What is that? But thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the cookies.